So this is something that often comes up in conversations, and it's people who are having loft conversions and extensions built, and they phone me up and say, we're doing a cold roof. And I say, why are you doing a cold roof? And they go, well, the drawings did say a warm roof, but the builder said we're better off with a cold roof because it means we got more height. We got height restrictions outside, and if they do the cold roof, we don't have to worry so much and we can have much more room. So what I want to address here is, what is the difference between the height of a proper warm roof construction and a proper cold roof construction? I've got two examples here of both of them, and I'm just going to show you the height difference. Now, one thing you've got to take away from this is that this particular one, which is the cold roof construction, is really difficult to build. It's expensive. There's so much detail that you need to do to get it right compared with this one. And this one is really quite simple. And the big problem occurs when people are building these is at the very beginning. And it's normal that I find that when I talk to these people, the customers who are having loft conversions and extensions done, this height scenario has actually come about because the roofers, or should I say the builders, it's normally the builders, have actually started off and built it incorrectly in the first place, because it's all about where you actually put your construction timbers that is supporting everything. If you put them in the right place, then your height isn't quite a problem. So let's just get through it. I'm going to show you some measurements here. So this is the true height of a warm roof construction. Now, if I go to the bottom of the plasterboard just there, and I show you there. Now, what I've done is that I've left another 5mm on top here because I didn't have 150mm thermal insulation. So I've made sure that I've allowed for that. So we've got a full build-up of 395mm for a really good, robust construction of a warm roof, which I get rid of that because that was from something else, so that shouldn't have been there. Of which you can put your lights in there if you want to. In fact, you remember with this kind of construction, you don't even have to have a ceiling if you don't want to. You can paint this in here. The reason these are here is from a video I did the other day. Go and watch it if you want to, which just shows you that your table and chairs in your room down below does not rot. They're in the room down below. They have got the same warmth, the same moisture content as the room down below. This area up here, inside between all of this on a warm roof, has got the same moisture content as the room down below. You do not need a ceiling. Okay, right, so we know that is the height of a warm roof. Let's have a look at the height of a cold roof. So this is a cold roof construction, a proper cold roof construction with a void here of 25mm, so that if you want to put any kind of lights or cabling, it goes here. You don't have to pierce the air vapor control layer. You need to do this to be able to install this correctly. You can get that kind of thing in there. You can put that kind of light in there. Of course, with only a 25mm gap, you cannot get that in there, because if you did, you'd have to cut through the thermal insulation, you'd have to cut through the air vapor control layer, and it would all go pear-shaped. So this work on the principle that you're going to do both jobs correctly. If you've done that one correctly, and then you come over here and you take that measurement from there, you're 315mm. So the difference between those two is this. So if you're going to do a cold roof, you are doing a much harder construction, which is more costly, more time consuming, and also with all the ventilation, there's a lot that can go wrong to save that amount of distance. That's all you're saving. And if you take into consideration that you might make this gap bigger, if you made it say 50mm to get something like that in there, your 80mm drops down. And if you want to get something the size of that in there, there's absolutely no difference in the two. But if you look at these side by side, the ceiling level is level on both of them. So where the mistake happens is where people put the structural timbers. And what I normally find is that on a drawing, it will say, put a rear extension, put a warm roof construction in. and the builders get on site and they start coming up to what we call wall plate height, and they get up to wall plate height not thinking, not taking the correct measurements, and they end up going, oh, okay, we can't put all this in now, we've come up too high. I tell you what we'll do, we'll swap it around for this, because this is what they were originally thinking for. And then they talk the customer in for going for something like this, not realizing all the differences and then all the complications, etc. I mean, the problem with this kind of thing is that if you put a skylight in this, you've then got to try and get all the ventilation around the skylight, which means that you would have to cross batten the top and raise this even more. So to do it properly, again, with a skylight in the top, you've then got further ventilation that you've got to do around the skylight to make sure that if your skylight was in the middle just there, that any movement of air, because the skylight's going to go right the way through, it's going to block this. So you need to make sure you've got channels going around the outside, which means that you've got to bring it up another 50 millimeters. You take your 50 millimeters away from your 80, you may as well have done this again. So I think I've made my point here. And the point is that this is what building regulations want you to do. This is such a easy, if you do it correctly, use all the right components, construction to do, and it works really, really well when done correctly. So hopefully this is all helpful for everybody. If you need any more information on any of this or any help, please get in touch with me. Send photographs, anything you've got. I'm happy to help. Speak soon.